The basement floor was cold, damp, and smelled of rusted metal and forgotten years. I sat on the concrete, knees hugged to my chest, the only light flickering from a broken bulb overhead. I had less than 2 hours left until my citizenship interview, something I had waited for since I came to the U.S. 8 years ago. I had worked 2 jobs, taken night classes, memorized every clause in the Constitution, and finally got the letter that said, "Your interview is scheduled for 10:30 a.m. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." But instead of sitting across from an immigration officer in a clean federal building, I was trapped in the basement of the house my parents had left me and my brother after they retired and moved back to India. I heard the door creak open above. Footsteps. Then my brother's voice, smug and calm. "You'll thank me later, Maya." I screamed. I begged. I told him he was ruining everything. "Citizenship isn't for people like you," he called down. "You always thought you were better than me. This is balance." The door slammed shut again. My fists clenched. I stared at the dusty furnace and old water heater and thought about everything I'd endured to get here. My name is Maya. I came to the U.S. when I was 19, with nothing but a backpack, a dream, and an unpaid spot in a community college. I took jobs other students wouldn't touch, cleaning bathrooms, babysitting, tutoring calculus just to survive. I built my life brick by brick while my older brother Vic cheated his way through everything. He was born in the U.S. but barely held a job. He stole from our parents, lied on his taxes, faked having a startup for 4 years just to borrow money from relatives. But he hated that I was finally standing on my own, hated that I didn't need him. The citizenship interview? That was the final straw for him. "You see, Vic always mocked my green card. 'Still a guest in your own country,' he'd laugh. 'Maybe they'll let you vote in 20 years. But the truth? He was terrified I'd surpass him, that I'd have full rights, that I could stand equal, or higher. When our parents left the house to both of us, I thought it might bring us closer. Instead, he used it to dominate me, made me take the basement, refused to let me pay the utilities directly, kept the deed in a drawer he thought I didn't know about. But this? Locking me in here the morning of my citizenship interview? That was war. I looked around at the basement. No windows, my phone was gone. But I wasn't helpless. I remembered something. The old laundry chute. It didn't lead outside, but it ran all the way up to the kitchen, if I could make enough noise through it. I dragged a rusted broomstick from the corner and slammed it again and again against the metal grate above me. The clang echoed like a bell tower. For 10 minutes, nothing. Then, a knock. "Hello?" a voice called. "Is someone in there?" A woman's voice from outside. I screamed again, this time louder, banging the stick like a maniac. "Please, call 911. I'm locked in. Basement." The next 10 minutes were chaos. A police officer kicked down the front door. I heard Vic yelling. Another voice, probably his stupid girlfriend, trying to lie, and then footsteps, heavy boots on wooden stairs. When the cop opened the basement door and shone his flashlight in my eyes, I could have cried. "Ma'am, are you Maya?" I nodded, trembling. "I have an interview. Please, I have to go." He helped me up. "Your brother's being detained. You'll need to file a report, but we'll get you to that interview." I checked the time. 9:32 a.m. I had 58 minutes. I limped up those stairs with a bloodied knee, no phone, no ID, just a printed interview letter in my jacket pocket and adrenaline in my veins. And somehow, I made it. I sat down across from the USCIS officer at 10:29 a.m., hair disheveled, voice shaking. But when he asked, "Are you ready to begin?" I answered with the clearest voice I'd ever used. Yes, more than ever. Little did Vic know this wasn't over. I wasn't just going to report the abuse. I was going to take everything he valued, and I knew exactly how. The day after my citizenship interview, I became an American, a legal citizen with full rights. The moment I held that certificate in my hands, something shifted inside me, not just relief, but power. I had always played by the rules. Vic had played me. But not anymore. He didn't think I had it in me to fight back. He was wrong. Vic got out on bail the next morning. Of course he did. His sleazy friend Ravi posted it. I watched through the blinds as he strutted up the driveway like he still owned everything. He even had the audacity to knock on my door, the same one his girlfriend had slammed shut when I tried to call for help. "You're gonna regret this, Maya," he growled through the door. "You just threw your own brother in jail for nothing." Nothing? I documented everything, the bruises, the broken lock, the police report, even the scrape on my leg from crawling up the stairs. But I didn't scream back at him. I just smiled through the peephole. I had already filed the formal charges. But I was about to do more. I spent the next week gathering everything I could. I found where he stashed his mail. He'd been hiding it from me for years and discovered something shocking. Vic had taken out a passport renewal a few months ago. Not just for himself, but under a fake name too. I stared at the forms, my stomach turning. He was using the fake identity to run a shadow business, crypto scams, fake consulting services, offshore accounts all traced back to this house's IP, and the best part? He forgot to log out of his old email on our shared computer. Idiot. I printed everything, every lie, every transaction, every screenshot. Then I called ICE. Then the IRS. And finally, Homeland Security. I handed over the entire folder with one sentence. He locked me in a basement to sabotage my citizenship, but he's the real criminal. It didn't take long. 3 weeks later, at 6:15 a.m., the black SUVs rolled into the driveway. Vic was yanked out of bed in nothing but his boxers, his girlfriend screaming as agents took phones, laptops, passports. I stood on the porch, sipping coffee. Vic's eyes met mine as they shoved him in the car. "This is your fault," he hissed. "No," I said quietly. "This is justice." But I wasn't done. See, my parents left us both equal ownership of the house, but Vic never filed his half properly. His signature wasn't even on the property tax rolls. I had my name on the mortgage. I had the deed. And after his arrest, he legally couldn't claim ownership while under federal investigation for fraud. So I filed to remove him permanently. 2 months later, the judge approved it. Vic's name was erased from the property. I changed the locks, I changed the mailbox, I painted the door, and I framed my citizenship certificate in the entryway. I didn't just survive my brother's betrayal. I turned his crimes into my freedom. And soon, he'd be watching from a prison cell while I owned the life he tried to steal from me. I thought watching Vic get hauled off in handcuffs would be the most satisfying moment of my life, but I was wrong. The real satisfaction came slowly, quietly, over the next few months, as I rebuilt everything he tried to take from me. The house was no longer a war zone. I stripped the wallpaper he chose, tore down the curtains his girlfriend installed. I gutted the basement first, the very place he locked me in like some prisoner. I had the door removed and replaced it with a skylight staircase, symbolic maybe, but necessary. No more darkness, no more traps. I donated his massive gaming chair to a local shelter and sold off his 2 flat screens, the ones he used to ignore me for hours. That money went toward repainting the walls a soft white and blue. I called it my freedom palette. The neighbors, once quiet, suddenly started waving. A few even apologized for not noticing anything, especially after seeing Vic on the news. Because, oh yes, it hit the news. Local man arrested for basement kidnapping and passport fraud, sister testifies. I didn't ask to become a headline, but I leaned into it. I gave a calm interview to a women's rights podcast, spoke to an immigrant advocacy group, told them how being treated like an invisible second-class citizen in my own home nearly cost me everything, but I survived and I rose. People reached out. Other women trapped in toxic family homes, girls whose brothers treated them like jokes, women who lost their voice inside their own 4 walls. And something strange happened. People started listening. One woman named Elise donated a grant to help me start something I'd dreamed of, a legal clinic for immigrant women who'd been trapped or sabotaged by their own families. I called it Unlocked. First case we took? A woman from Bangladesh who'd been kept from her naturalization test by her uncle. She read my story in the paper and showed up in tears. We helped her pass. She's now a nurse. Meanwhile, Vic wasn't adjusting well to prison. Apparently, fraud charges, kidnapping allegations, and federal passport violations don't go over well inside. He tried to write to me once, sent a crumpled apology letter saying I should have been grateful he let me live there all these years. I didn't even open it. I just took the envelope, walked to my backyard fire pit, and watched it burn. But the final twist came when I got a letter not from Vic, but from the Department of State. It was confirmation that his fake alias passport had been used to attempt a wire transfer from an overseas account into a domestic crypto exchange. That triggered a federal seizure. Everything in his name frozen. His car? Gone. His secret savings? Confiscated. His portion of our childhood trust fund? Reallocated to the only legal heir left, me. Poetic, isn't it? He tried to trap me in a basement so I'd miss becoming an American. Instead, I became a citizen, a homeowner, a founder, and the rightful heir to everything he tried to steal. And now, my house is filled with light. The basement is gone. The locks are changed. And I sleep soundly, knowing the one who caged me is the one behind bars now. I didn't just survive, I thrived. I didn't just get justice, I created it. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.